You may not believe this, but this is the 7th attempt at recording this video. This is Computer Games Development G02. All I'm going to go through for this video is the simple game structure that we're going to use as the basic template for any game that you might develop on Windows machine. We're going to give this name the name structure game. You can give it the name of whatever your game is going to be. It's a Windows Form application using .NET Framework 4 and it's in C#. When I create this, it's going to build originally a Form 1, which is then going to appear on the screen. This is the standard that we see every time if we're building a Windows application. But what we're going to do for this particular project is delete Form 1 from the screen. And we're going to replace it with our own forms with names that actually mean something to us. So the first form I'm going to do is FRM intro for our introduction screen. We are going to want a menu, so another Windows form, FRM menu. After we've got a menu for our structure, obviously we're going to want the game itself. Now there are two outcomes to any game. The first is obviously game over. So we're going to want a game over screen. The second is that you actually complete the game. So for that one I want a congratulations screen. So these 5 items actually make up the standard structure of our system. Now you may be wondering how any game can form all these different parts. Well, we're going to have it so that the introduction always runs first of all, and that will then go to the menu. On the menu will be options such as new game or exit. When you select new game, obviously the game screen will start, and depending on the outcome of that game will show the game over screen or congratulations screen, which will then take you back to the menu screen. That's all well and good, but at the moment every form looks the same. So what we're going to do now is tailor our forms to actually match how we want them to look. So I'm opening my toolbox now. The intro, I'm going to put a label on here that just says introduction on the text. I'll get rid of my Solution Explorer for now. I'm also going to change the form by clicking on the form again rather than on the label. Change the window state to maximized, and I'm going to change the form border style to none. This means it's going to take up the entire screen. Obviously all games we want to take up the entire screen. On the menu I'm going to put in 2 buttons. A new game button first of all, and an exit button. Just like the introduction sequence, I'm going to click on the menu and then set the window state to be full screen with no bar along the top. We don't want any of the icons appearing. So again, this will now be full screen. On the game screen I'm going to use 2 buttons to emulate the 2 different outcomes. The first button is obviously game over, and the other button is complete. So again I'm going to click on the form and change the window state to be maximized, form border style to be none. Game over screen, I'm just going to put the label in that says game over. Form border style and window state need to be set again on here. Finally the congratulations screen. So we have our basic structure in terms of forms. Now we need is to join them all together. Now if I try running this program now, which you can do on your own computer if you wish, the program will actually crash. It won't even run because it's looking for Form 1. In Solution Explorer, if you go to program.cs, double click on it and bring up the code, you can see it's trying to create a new Form 1, but we know there is no Form 1 because we deleted it. So instead we need to replace it. Now you may think we'd replace it with the intro, but actually we're going to replace it with the menu. So now when I load up my program, which I'm not going to do just yet, it will load up to the menu. The The reason I'm not going to do it just yet is because all these forms are full screen, and therefore we can't actually get out of the program because we've not told it how to get out of the program. So the next thing we're going to do is go through all our screens again and provide ways of actually coming out of each form. To do this, I'm going to click on the little lightning bolt on the form, starting with form intro, and find the click event. What I'm going to do is tell the computer to close this form when I click on it. So the intro form will just close. I'm going to do the same thing with the game over screen. So lightning bolt, click, this dot close. And finally the congratulations screen. Lightning bolt, click, this dot close. And close my program CS file as well. The game and menu screens are going to be slightly different because they've got buttons. I'm now going to start on the FRM menu, and there's one major consideration that we need to put into every single one of our forms because we are building this as a game. That is, we don't want the game to flicker as we change the graphics, which would be the standard what would happen on a Windows form based program if we don't make some changes to the way the form loads up. To make these changes, we need to use a piece of code called set style. And the set styles we're going to select are control styles dot all painting in Windows Media Paint first of all. We'll then go press space and then the left shift key and the button that's next to the left shift key, which will make a line appear. That means OR. The next one we're going to use is optimize double buffer. Control styles, just hit the full stop to bring it up. Resize redraw, which means redraw the screen when I resize it. Again, another OR. Control styles, user paint, so we're going to be the ones that paint on the screen. Another OR. The last thing we want is that it supports the transparent back colour, so we can have transparency. We're going to set all these to true. I'm now going to make this all appear on the screen in one go to make it easier to follow. Okay. Now this I'm going to copy now because I'm actually going to paste this into every game screen that we have. So FRM game, it's going to go in the same point as well, just before initialize component. Now I can right click and just view the code on congratulations, game over and intro and put those lines in. Now these are all in, next thing to do is to modify our game code. Now you may be wondering why we've said FRM menu is our first form when we actually want the introduction to load first. Well, I'm going to use something that we don't often use with Visual Studio when I'm building programs. You can open a form by creating it in memory first of all, so we use that to build it into memory, just create a new instance of it, and then we can quite often show it on the screen, and that's what we do. When that runs, the form will load up on the screen, but it will keep running the code for this form. If I use show dialog instead of show on that form, the program actually freezes. This piece of code will run, but the next line of code, i.e. create the menu on the screen, won't run. So this way I can make the intro appear, and then once it's finished doing whatever it needs to do on the show dialog, it then gets thrown away and then the menu will appear. The next thing I'm going to do is a similar sort of code for a new game. When we do a new game, the first thing I want to do is hide the menu. I'm going to create a new copy of the form for game, and the same way I can do the show dialog. Now this game has two outcomes. It could be game over or it could be complete, and a show dialog can actually allow us to do something else. We can have a dialog result. So what I can do is look at the dialog result and say, well, if the dialog result comes back as yes from our game, will show the congratulations screen. Again, we show it as a dialogue, and once we've finished with it, we're going to get rid of it from memory. I'm then going to use an else command so that if the person did not complete, create a new game over screen instead. Exactly the same. Then dispose it. Once we've run through either the congratulations or game over screen, we're then going to get rid of our game form, dispose it, save it from memory, and then make our menu appear again. To exit the game, we're going to do something really simple. Double click on the exit, actually exits the application. Simple as that. So the last thing we need to do now is go to our game screen and create our two different outcomes. Now if I click on the game over button, I'm going to emulate as if I've game overed. I've made a mistake and I've died at some point. So what I do is tell it that the dialog result of this box equals no. Then close the form. I'm going to copy that because on complete it's exactly the same, but the dialog result is yes. Saving all of that and then building it makes the game run. So you'll see that our introduction loads first. It says introduction in the top corner. We click the mouse button, our menu comes up, we can select new game. This is the new game. Game over takes us to the game over screen, and clicking off that takes us back to the menu. New game but complete takes us to the congratulations screen. We click off it again, exit, then closes the program, and we have a working game structure we can use for any game that we are going to develop on this course.